What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing back at you again. Today's topic, two-time undisputed champion Clarissa Shields follows Amanda Serrano to make her MMA debut June 10th. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? The life before riches, huh? The life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk about some boxing. We're going to chop up some boxing today. As many of you might know, two division undisputed champion Clarissa Shields is about to make her MMA debut on June 10th. We're not sure who the opponent is going to be yet, but that's the date that's been announced. June 10th is her debut in the MMA. Now, as you all know, Clarissa Shields is the current two weight division excuse me, undisputed champion. Okay, she has basically cleaned out two different divisions, okay, which is unprecedented in boxing. I do believe was Henry, I think Henry Armstrong was undisputed in two different weight divisions, but it's definitely undisputed. It's unprecedented for women boxing. But I might be wrong about the Henry Armstrong. I'm not. It might have been. Yeah, I think it might have. He might have had. He might have been. I know he was champion in two different weight divisions. I'm not sure if he was undisputed. But anyway, the bottom line is that Clarissa Shields, is doing great things in boxing currently, and she has basically, went a long way in a very short time, in terms of career in boxing, and she has accomplished many great things. And being undisputed in two different weight divisions is one of those things that she has accomplished. Now, Clarissa is about to follow a trail blazed by legendary boxing, legendary female boxer Amanda "The Real Deal" Serrano, and go to MMA, which Serrano has done that already. She's 9 different titles in 7 different weight divisions. That is Amanda Serrano, and she's also competing, concurrently in MMA. She has had a couple of fights already in MMA, and I think she's having another fight coming up soon. But it hasn't been announced, what date that's going to be. Currently, Amanda Serrano is also campaigning to become undisputed at featherweight. She has 2 titles at the current moment. I think she has the WBO and the IBF, I believe, if I'm correct. So that's where her career is right now. Another great legend. I mean, these women are doing great things in boxing. Clarissa Shield and Amanda Serrano. I mean, they, I guess you have to describe both of them as basically living legends, really. Okay, but as you know, Amanda Serrano has a longer, more of a body of work than Clarissa Shield, even though Clarissa Shield has been undisputed in 2 different weight divisions, and Amanda, hasn't been undisputed in any weight division. She is a 9-time champ in 7 different weight divisions, and she has been boxing, for quite a while, and has a master record of 40 and 1 with 30 knockouts, which is incredible. So yeah, Amanda Serrano is definitely a living legend. But it looks like Clarissa Shields, is about to follow the trail blazed by Amanda Serrano to MMA, and she's, get ready to take a dip in the MMA waters, in June 10th. So that should be pretty interesting to see how Clarissa Shields fares in MMA. We know that we have we have seen Amanda Serrano is just very good at MMA. She had some notable fights already in MMA where she has basically submitted, and she had a draw with Karina Herrera, and I think she had two other fights, uh, if I'm correct, and she had won one of those fights by submission. So Amanda Serrano is definitely no joke in MMA, and she's starting off on a you know great. She's starting off on a good foot in MMA, and so we're gonna see if Clarissa Shields can do the same thing. Clarissa Shield has been talking about MMA now for over a year. And as you all know, maybe you might not know, Clarissa Shield is pretty good friends with Cyborg, which is another great MMA fighter who actually lost to Amanda Nunes in their fight, which was a very exciting fight. You should go and see that fight, Amanda Nunes versus Cyborg. Or you could even check out Amanda Serrano versus Karina Herrera. Great, both of those fights were great fights. But anyway, yeah. So Clarissa Shields is getting ready to make her debut. Should be pretty interesting and very exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to that fight that she's gonna have. I don't know. Like I said, the opponent has not been announced yet, but I'm sure it'll be somebody notable. Clarissa Shields is definitely a competitor. And it seems like she had decided to take this angle and go to MMA just to basically challenge herself, okay? And I think the fact that Serrano has already done it has given her some kind of confidence that she can do it as well, because Clarissa Shields, talks about Serrano, and they both talk good about each other, and have respect for each other's accomplishments, okay? So it looks like Clarissa Shields is following Amanda Serrano's lead and taking that trail to the MMA, which should be great. I mean, I love the idea of it. These women are basically, challenging themselves. And like I said before, one of my videos, I mean, a lot of men, we see the men boxers fighting MMA fighters, but they're fighting them in boxing. They're not actually going into MMA like these women are doing, like Amanda Serrano or Clarissa Shields, actually going into MMA and fighting in the octagon according to MMA rules. I mean, this is great, for these women's career, I believe, and just shows you the versatility and the dedication of women, in combat sports. I mean, they're taking the lead in this situation in terms of actually going into MMA and fighting in MMA, as opposed to what we see the men are doing, challenging these MMA fighters in the boxing ring. Okay, I've yet to see any one of these male boxers go out there and challenge an MMA fighter in the MMA. I think I hear recently that Dillian White is talking about fighting Francis Ngannou in the MMA, in according to MMA rules. Now, I mean, that's talk. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but that would be interesting, and I would definitely like to see that. But we don't know where that is right now. That hasn't really progressed to anything that we can say is a solid or a definite. So we'll follow that and see what comes of it, if it actually happens. But it would be great. But again, the woman is already ahead in that sphere, and we have these women fighting in MMA and fighting in boxing at the same time, and not just fighting in MMA and fighting in boxing, but they're accomplishing great things in boxing and doing the same thing in MMA. We already know that Amanda Serrano is doing it. Her sister, I believe, is also doing that, Cindy Serrano. And then we had Holly Holmes, who went from boxing, women's boxing, to MMA, but she stayed in MMA and didn't come back to boxing. So the fact that these women, Clarissa Shields, I mean, again, and Amanda Serrano, who's taking the lead in that, are getting ready to do the same thing, going into boxing and fighting MMA while doing both simultaneously, is great for combat sports, and great for boxing and great for MMA. So I'm definitely looking forward to Clarissa Shields' debut in MMA. I think it'll be very interesting. Okay. And for what I'm hearing, I'm thinking that MMA pays better than boxing, which is something I want to talk about briefly. I mean, first thing, in MMA, women boxers, there's no tier for women boxers. I mean, for women fighters in MMA. Basically, they got to fight by the same rules and they fight the same amount of time. For example, they fight either 3 rounds or 5 rounds, and it's the same amount of minutes as the men fight. You know, it's not different. You know, women rounds are not less than the men's round. In boxing, for some reason, you know, we have women fighting 2-minute rounds, you know, and men fighting 3-minute rounds. And I think that's a disservice to women. You know, I don't know why, who came up with that in the first place. You know, I mean, it's basically a sexist, you know, I would think, you know, as if, you know, women are less, so they have to fight. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, look at what women are doing. They're fighting MMA and boxing simultaneously, something that the men are not doing, but yet still in boxing they want women to have less minutes, you know, per round, which doesn't make any sense. And they need to change that rule as soon as possible and get boxing, you know, into the modern world. Okay, enough of this nonsense. Okay, another thing is that, you know, women boxers are not getting paid anywhere near, you know, as much as men boxers. And again, this is a very, you know, it's a disservice to women. Okay, you know, it's sexist. Okay, and it needs to stop. Okay, and women need to get paid, you know, I mean, what they're worth. I mean, look at what they're doing in boxing. Okay, I mean, they're accomplishing great things in boxing and they're accomplishing great things in MMA, and they're doing it simultaneously, something that not very few of any men boxers are doing. So why should women get paid less, you know, in boxing than men? You know, I think boxing really needs to, you know, get their shit together and, you know, start paying these women, you know, what they deserve, and stop, you know, underpaying women, you know, and paying them less than what they're paying the men. It doesn't look good. It's bad for the sport. Okay, and, you know, why should women have to go to MMA to get paid better, you know, than what they're getting paid in boxing? Okay, I mean, that's making sense. You know, I think it's a great disservice to women fighters, and, you know, it needs to be turned around as soon as possible. So now, again, you know, we see that Clarissa Shield, again, like I said, she's blazing the trail, you know, and so is Amanda Serrano has already done it, and so now Clarissa Shield is getting ready to do it. She's going to MMA, something that I said previously a lot of men fighters are not doing. Okay, not fighting. You know, we saw Mayweather fight Conor McGregor, but he never fought Conor McGregor in the octagon. He fought him in the ring, which is all good. But if MMA fighters could come to boxing and fight in boxing, why can't the boxers go to MMA and fight in MMA according to their rules? That should be, you know, what they're doing if they're gonna fight in MMA. But we don't see much of that. But we see these women, you know, Amanda Serrano, and now Clarissa Shields is getting ready to make her debut, doing that, and they're doing it very well. And I think it's to be, you know, congratulated, and they should be commended for what they're doing, you know, in terms of, you know, blazing this trail, fighting in the MMA and in boxing simultaneously. You know, I think it's a great thing for combat sports. So I'm looking forward to the Clarissa Shields fight, and I'm also looking forward to Amanda Serrano's next fight, you know, whenever that might be, whether it's MMA or boxing. And we know that, you know, I think, you know, the fight with Katie Taylor is out there somewhere, and they, you know, they're trying to make that fight. Hopefully they make that fight soon, because I you know, I definitely want to see that fight. As for Clarissa Shields, definitely looking forward to this fight with her in MMA. I mean, never, you know, a challenge for a woman that's accomplished unprecedented things in boxing, and, you know, looks to accomplish even more in MMA. And again, I think it's great for women fighters. It's great for both sports, MMA and boxing, and I think that is something that's, you know, that's needed right now. Okay, I think that, you know, these women are showing that they're versatile, they're tough, you know, smart, and you know what they're doing out there. It's just now that, you know, the pay that these women get need to catch up to what these women are actually doing and accomplishing, you know, in the ring and in the octagon. So yeah, Looking forward to the Clarissa Shield debut. Make sure you check it out. It's gonna be June 10th. I'm definitely gonna check it out. That's all I have for right now. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. You can also go to tbeboxing.com. You can get merchandise from my website. You can donate to the effort, to make these videos. You can purchase some, merchandise from that website, tbeboxing.com. So yeah, like and subscribe to the channel. That's all I have for right now. This is TBE Boxing. I'm out.